Have you ever just walked into a room and felt something was off? Nobody said a word, but you could sense tension or sadness or frustration, and immediately your mind started trying to figure out what it meant? You're not just an empath. There's actually more to it than you probably think. When that happens, most people tend to go one of two ways. On one end of the spectrum, they assume they already know exactly what's going on. They decide, oh, they're upset with me, or I know what this is about, even if the other person hasn't said anything yet. The other day, a friend of mine walked into the room and immediately said, "What's wrong?" Something feels off. Nobody had said a word yet, but she felt it, and she wasn't wrong. There actually had been some tension in the conversation right before she had entered the room. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky. The problem with this approach is that every person is the expert on themselves. And when we jump in and act like we know more about what's going on inside of someone else than they do, it can feel super invalidating and even create distance. Instead of drawing the other person closer, it risks sending the message, I understand you better than you understand yourself. On the other end of the spectrum, people sometimes do the exact opposite. They gaslight themselves. They constantly second guess what they're feeling, downplay their instincts, or decide that they're probably just being too sensitive. I'm probably just overreacting. I'm probably just too sensitive, making something out of nothing. But that's not healthy either, because those feelings that you're feeling are signals. And when you ignore them, that means that you're shutting down a part of yourself that actually is pretty special. So what is the healthy middle ground then? It's actually pretty simple, but uncomfortable. And the answer is communication. Here are 3 practical steps to put this into practice. First, acknowledge what you're feeling. Pay attention to what came up for you. Second, check the meaning with the other person. This can sound something like, hey, it feels like something might be off. Are you okay? Or, I want to make sure that I'm not assuming something that isn't there. And then third, trust what they tell you. Let them be the expert on themselves. When you do this, you honor your natural sensitivity without overstepping or dismissing it. This whole dynamic is not random. It's actually really predictable. This comes up the most in people with what I call the C temperament, or the feeler. C's are naturally tuned into the emotional climate, and it's a real gift. It's one of your best gifts. And when they either assume too much or silence themselves, that gift gets lost. Learning how to stay in the middle, trusting what you sense, but also checking in with the other person is where C's shine. It's what makes their sensitivity a strength instead of a struggle. Take the free core assessment to find out if you're a C.